Work-life balance in sales. What are your thoughts on that, Gurminder?
It's not a real thing, especially in sales. No chance it's a real thing. Absolutely zero way it's a real thing. I'm a firm believer that it's not a real thing. And I don't think
Yeah.
it's possible either. I don't know if it's possible. It might be possible, just not for me. Just I don't think with my work type it's possible.
Yeah. Why,
If
why do you
I'm
say
if
that? Why do you say it's not possible?
For me, I start getting really stressed out when I'm not. It's just not. If I'm just sitting there, I have to refresh Teams. I have to refresh Outlook, and it just gives me a sense of relief that I'm good. The business is still running. Because at the end of the day, it is your business. Like, as much as you want to run from it and say, no, I'm working for a different organization, it's a 9 to 5. One, it's not a 9 to 5. Two, if you have that mindset that you're working for a different organization, you're not going to make the commission checks. Clients aren't going to be happy. If I was a business owner, like a complete business owner, I would want to find a way to let this operate efficiently, even if I'm not there. And I
Hmm.
haven't gotten to the point yet with that while working my sales job. So I have to refresh Outlook. I have to refresh Teams. I have to make sure that everything's still running smoothly because at the end of the day, I want to make my commission checks and I do want to treat this like business. Curious to know your takes though.
I'm on board with you. I've never seen it as a thing. I've never met someone that's like, hey, I have work-life balance in sales. Usually the
Yeah,
ones that are crushing it don't have that work-life balance.
that's what
They're
I'm
they're
saying.
on vacation, they're checking their mail, they're on holiday, getting stuff done, getting deals closed, coordinating with the team, making sure that everything's fine. There's a fire happening with one of their customers. Same thing. They're there 24/7, right?
Like
We talk
if you go
we
onto
Yeah,
Teams, if you go,
yeah.
I'm not sure if you've ever been to Teams on a Saturday. I am 1,000% sure you have because I've seen you been on Teams on a Saturday, but
Yeah,
it's the same people who are green every time. Every
right.
single
Yeah,
time. It's the exact same people who have that green. And when you talk to those exact same people who have that green, they're the ones who are crushing it the most, to your point.
right.
I also think it's a really big mindset thing as well that you don't even have to love what you do. You just have to love how it makes you feel. And then if you like keep chasing that feeling of what it feels like to sign a commission check or how it feels to like get a customer who the relationship wasn't the best with the customer and now the customer loves you,
Hmm.
that's a good feeling that I always want to be chasing because it makes me feel so good.
So work-life balance versus work-life harmony. Is there a difference there for you?
When you say harmony, what do you mean by
Yeah.
that?
I think what they mean, I'm not sure of the terms. Work-life balance is having the work side of you and the life side of you, and you're finding a break in between where you can balance the two. Work-life harmony, when I think about it, is the two and two coexist together. There is no split. So more so, you're just finding a way to live in harmony with the two, rather than
Yeah,
to balance and separate them. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm gonna go with the latter. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't think. I think that's the better fit, and I think there's a big shift between work life balance and work life harmony as well. Because like,
Mm.
I feel like when you say work life balance, that has like a negative emotion tied to it. When you say like work
Yeah.
life harmony, you could find like the love in work through that, and I think that's what it is for me.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you mentioned something earlier around people that are online on the weekends, the
Yeah,
people that are always available and that don't really take a break. I see that as a harmony side. They have their work coexist with their life, and like you mentioned, those are the same people that have the top numbers.
yep,
And then the people that want to stay at the 80, 90, 100%, they have that balance. I find
yep.
it's not that it's that's totally fine, but I think when I think about sales and how I've always thought about it is we don't settle for 80, 90, 100%.
That's what
Like,
I'm saying. Like that.
yeah,
That's where that you know OTE aspect comes of it.
right.
That if you wanted to settle or you
Hmm.
were okay with just making the same amount of money, I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't
Is
make
it a
sense to me.
time? Do you think it's a time management thing, or is it a roles and responsibilities type of thing, or is it
One thing that
just
I will
will?
say, yeah, one thing that I will say right off the bat, my time management could 1000% be better. But I know that even if I got everything done within the like 7 to 5 or the 8 to 5 of someone's like typical working hours, I'd still go back home at 10 p.m., 9 p.m. after my gym. I'm in the gym, refreshing Teams, Outlook, just making sure that nothing else pops up.
Hmm.
The last thing that I want to do is lose a deal because I was being lazy or I didn't want to do something when I didn't feel like it. Feeling is like the one thing that just stops
Mm.
folks, especially in sales or people in general. And it stopped me as well. So it might be contradicting of me to say, but that's like the one thing that just stops people from doing things.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned that a couple days ago as well when you said when you don't feel like cold calling, feeling is like the roadblock between what you want and what you don't have.
Well, you
Yeah.
said it way better than what I said. I like it was somewhere along the lines. One thing that you brought up just now that I really want to talk about is checking Teams and Outlook, let's say while you're out, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't want to miss anything. And then versus getting something in your inbox that you need to action. Those are two separate things,
Yeah.
right? And getting the thing in the inbox, wanting to action and not doing it. Two separate things. Do you think that there is a lot of salespeople out there that have that unhealthy balance of checking Teams for the sake of checking Teams or the reports or Salesforce when nothing would have refreshed in the past 5 minutes? It's almost like an addiction of like checking social media.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I have that addiction. I think I have that addiction. Going into Teams and just refreshing it and knowing that there's nothing that I have to action right now, it
Hmm.
makes me feel good. And then when something does pop up, it kind of makes me feel even better. That
Yeah, I told you, right? I knew it.
told
Got to
you,
keep doing
I'm
it,
here.
right?
I got to figure this
Yeah,
out now.
yeah,
It's extremely fun for me. I love
yeah,
doing it. I don't know. I think people have to love, they don't even have to love the job. You just have to love how the job makes you feel. For me,
mm,
I love how it makes me feel because I get money out of it and it makes me get like a sense of I'm going in the right direction with my life. Like
yeah,
I'm not being a bum.
yeah,
I'm waking up at the right times. I'm going through all the right motions. Success pretty soon it is going to be inevitable and it's going to happen because I'm putting in the hours, I'm putting in the work, even if it's 1 hour out of the day, 1 hour
yeah.
prospect block out of the day on your vacation. Come on. I do think that people can wake up just a little bit earlier. Instead of 10 a.m., maybe just wake up at 9 a.m. Start your call block at 9:30, end it at 11. After that, you could do everything. Because if you're on vacation, no one's even up by 9 a.m.
I agree. That is the piece that I think that it has to be part of the daily routine. Like you have an athlete that is on, let's say you got a professional athlete that is on vacation. They're still doing some sort of exercise. They're
Exactly.
not going to be like, I'm going cold turkey on my off season. I'm not doing a single thing in the 3 months or however long, depending on what sport. And I think that's the same for salespeople. Got to carve
Exactly.
out the time. And we talk about prospecting blocks are like customer meetings. It should be treated as one. You're not going to skip out on your prospecting block, or you're not going to skip out on your customer meeting. Don't skip out on your prospecting block,
For
right?
sure.
And the feeling of, and this goes back to the point of the email that comes in and wanting to action it or pushing it back, relating it back to work life balance. A lot of reps will see an urgent email come in and they don't know what to do with it, analysis paralysis. And so they sit on it and they say it's a Monday problem or it's a tomorrow problem. And that's where they lose their best customer.
Exactly. Even just sending the customer saying, I've noted this down. I'm going to speak to someone. I'm going to action this as soon as possible. I'll keep you in the loop.
Right.
Goes such a long way. Just for a customer to have that reassurance that they saw this and they're going to do something about it,
Yeah.
such a long way. Like, I don't think you should have the mindset that I'm off hours right now. It's a Saturday or
Yeah.
Sunday. Actually, I retract that statement. I think it's wrong of me to say I don't think you should have that mindset. I don't think I should have that mindset. I
Fair.
personally can't do it
Yeah.
just because of the way that I operate. It it doesn't necessarily make too much sense for me to have that work-life balance in sales.
Yeah, because you've already done half the work. I mean, you're scrolling through your messages in inbox, you get something finally, and you choose not to do something about it. I think that's a waste of effort and time. I mean, what were you looking to do is would be my question to those people. And then when sometimes when we look at that email, it sounds a little bit too complicated. I'm going to just let it sit, whether it's throughout the
Yeah,
day or it's on your PTO out of office or it's on the weekend. You're not really letting it sit. You're letting it sit in your mind, and it's going to take a portion up of your consciousness as you run through your week
exactly.
and day. So I think that one of the things that I've learned early in my career is if there's a problem, just reach out to as many resources as possible, and whoever comes back with the first answer, run with that. And then you've got plan A, plan B, plan C, and you can go simultaneously. The one thing that people forget to do is close the loop on those. So if you do find out the answer, just go back to the rest of the other people and say, hey, I've got it figured out. This is what the solution is. Thank you for helping me out with that. That
I think
works
that's one of
so
the
much
best
better.
pieces of
Yeah.
advice. I think that's one
Yeah.
of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten from you is knock on every possible door. Someone's going to give you a different answer. Someone's going to give you a different answer, but it's up to you to make the most out of the answer and figure out what answer makes sense for you. But you get it within 10 minutes, whereas you message one person, maybe they're in a customer meeting, and then you're waiting 3, 4 hours saying, I don't have an answer. Like, how am I supposed to action this? But if you message those 7, 8 people, I promise you're going to get an answer within at least 30 minutes. And
Back
then
on the
another
topic
thing,
of work.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go
Another
for it.
thing that stood out to me was I can't remember what you said, but I don't think you should focus about how you're feeling now. You shouldn't focus about how you're feeling now. You should always focus on how you're going to feel after doing the task. And
Mm.
if I run with that, and that's honestly worked for me, I can do anything. If a who wants to sit there and do a cold call block? Beautiful sunny day,
Yeah.
everyone's outside, your family's yelling and screaming, someone's cooking up a barbecue, someone's doing something, someone's telling you, "Hey, come here, let's hang out." To your point, you would not skip a customer meeting, no matter what. And I think people need to treat everything like that. Like just focus
Yeah.
on how you're going to feel after instead of how you're feeling now, and you'll be able to conquer all your tests. That's what's worked for me. Really worked for me.
I I really like this topic about structuring days and routines really. And I think we've talked a little bit further out from the work-life balance topic. So I'm going to bring it back to the routine piece of it because I think it relates to that. I think what is missing in our industry now is consistency.
Yeah.
I find that sellers do not want to do a portion of the role. We are in an economic downturn right now, and I don't know of an industry that is relying solely on inbound leads. So all account executives now go back into the part hunting, part nurturing motion. And I find that account executives, industry wide, they're not used to it. Especially the new ones that really came through during COVID, that for the past 4 or 5 years, where they have the remote from work from home motion, where they don't really have the hey, like, why aren't you hitting the phones? Because your boss is right next to you type of motion. And there's that routine aspect that is discipline. So when we talk about work-life balance or work-life harmony, I think about routine. A lot of people don't have that routine figured out. So what are your thoughts on
Yep.
that one?
My thoughts, you could have like a solid foundation of a routine, but with all the ebbs and flows in sales, I think it's very difficult to maintain that routine, if that makes sense. For example, at the end of quarter, I don't think I could follow the exact same routine as, maybe beginning a quarter when things are slow, everyone's getting on
Right.
pace. But I want to know your thoughts because you've obviously been in sales a lot longer than me. You have a ton more experience than me. So I want to know your thoughts on what has been your work-life balance throughout your career and what are your thoughts what are your thoughts on the routine?
I think that's all going to change as time goes on for me, as I have changes in my life. But if we talk about routine and work-life balance, traditionally, if I look back in my career, it didn't really exist. My goal was to get as much done as possible and to accelerate my career. And the way that I knew how to do that is through iteration, through doing things better. And the way that I can do iteration is by trying things, and it takes time. And so what ends up
Yep.
happening, a byproduct of that, is I spend a lot of time working, not in the smartest way, but every time I work, it gets better and better. So when I think about routine and work-life balance and discipline, that was part of it. I was always looking to do better, and so it took more time. And when I think about sales and how to structure your day and your routine, regardless if it's beginning of quarter, end of quarter, beginning of month, end of month, I think the thing that doesn't change is how you prioritize your tasks. One thing that I've been talking about with the team is if you focus on the motions that get you paid, you cannot get wrong with that.
Yep.
If you know that prospecting is going to get you paid at some point, we should be prioritizing that. If you got a deal right now that needs to be closed, that's a priority. If you've got a customer fire that comes in, that will drive some sort of opportunity later on because you've done them a favor. How you balance those three things that I just mentioned, that is up to the sales rep and how they value it. But we can't drop prospecting because we don't see any outcome right now. It's almost me saying,
Exactly.
I'm not going to go to the gym because I went for a full week, an hour a day, and I don't see results. To the long way of answering your question and then adding some philosophy to it, I've always put my 110% into my work. It wasn't the most efficient, but I learned a lot from it. And so I get
Yep.
to put in less work and put in more work into other aspects of it instead. Yeah.
One thing that you said that stood out was like that instant gratification piece. Like if you're not getting an outcome out of it right away, people stop doing it. And I think that's also where work-life balance, deteriorates as well. It's because someone outbounds and the customer tells them, give me a call back at a different time. They take that as, something went wrong. Whereas you could easily take that as a win. Like, okay, he
Yeah.
gave me a green light. I get to call him back. I'm in the nurturing phase.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the fun comes into play. But when you have
Maybe it's a
that,
reaction, right? Maybe it's a reaction.
yeah,
That's the thing. But
exactly.
that's totally cool because the door is still open and like it's how you see it. Yeah, you were saying.
Yep. Just
I
falling in love
totally
with the
killed
process.
your train of thought.
It's all good. It's all good. Happens. I do the exact same. I do the exact same a ton. I do the exact same a ton. I'm gonna work on it because this is the first time you've done it. So I'm sorry. We're new to this. We're gonna figure it out in a year's
We'll
time.
figure it
There's
out.
gonna be
It's all good.
it's gonna be zero
Yeah.
hiccups. There's gonna be zero hiccups. That being said, focus on where was I? Where was I?
Focus on the things that you get paid. I don't know. Focus on
Um,
the relationship. We're talking about customers giving you the green light to continue talking or calling them
um,
back.
don't focus on the outcome right away. Just fall in love with the
Hmm.
process. If you fall in love with the
Gotcha. Yeah, we're
process,
talking about. Yeah.
it's going to be hard to burn out if you fall in love with the process, and you can
Hmm.
like progressively see yourself getting better. You could even
Yeah.
track it, like have like some type of spreadsheet or have like some type of to-do list that you check off every day, and that's where that feeling comes out of it too. It's like you had 25 things to do on your to-do list. There's only green check boxes on there. I promise if you do that, everyone will feel 1000% better. And you're going to go into the next day feeling, I need to do the exact same thing because I went to sleep feeling like a champ. I went to sleep feeling so
Hmm.
good about myself. And I want to always feel like that. And for me,
Yeah.
that's what's worked. I haven't felt burnt out. I felt very tired some days, but that's just life. You gotta work through when you're tired. Have to do it. Got to do what you got to do.
Something, a final verdict for sales is work-life balance does not exist. There is work-life
For
harmony
us,
if you choose. If you choose,
yeah,
I'm just going to say it, broad spectrum. I think in order to be successful, to begin with, work-life harmony is probably more of the lifestyle for a seller, and maybe moving on, you get some sort of balance. But that also brings us to our next topic that I want your opinion on.
What is that?
Sales reps that jump job to job with a year of experience or less. And I'm going to stop the recording right there, and we'll start.